Hi, I'm Annie, and I'm an artist and writer.
Hi, I'm Siena. I'm a social worker.
And we have a workshop here today from Prison Arts Collective. And the goal of our program is to expand access to the transformative power of the arts to people who are incarcerated. And I was lucky enough to start this program in 2013 together with students and people who are incarcerated and partners in the prison. And one of the people that I met was Wendy. And when I first met her, she was inside the prison and she was always taking care of her peers there. And a few years after that, she was released and she's now a member of our advisory board. And Wendy always shares that arts were an important part of her healing. And she thought about it. And when people get out of prison, a lot of times they're missing that space for creativity. So we created this program. Wendy helped us create this program called Project Alice. It's named after my mother, Siena's grandmother, who volunteered in juvenile hall for nearly 20 years, bringing art and books and conversation to the youth. And so with that, we have a workshop for you today, and we're going to get started.
Okay, so to start, I was thinking we can just start by doing a simple belly breathing exercise to allow our bodies to relax and our minds to be focused on the workshop. So if everyone is comfortable sitting or standing, however you feel most comfortable, and maybe just start by closing your eyes and just placing your feet against the floor and loosening any of your tense muscles. So letting your hands wiggle down and your feet are against the floor. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. And once you feel loose and relaxed, we're going to go ahead and place one of our hands on our upper chest and the other on your belly. So now we're going to start by breathing in slowly through your nose for 3 seconds. You should feel your stomach expand and your chest should remain still. And then breathe out slowly through your mouth for 3 seconds and feel your stomach move back. And then we'll go ahead and repeat this a couple of times. So now breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 seconds and out your mouth for 4 seconds. And one more time, breathe in your nose for 5 seconds. And out your mouth for 5 seconds. And if you want to try one last time, breathe in your nose for 6 seconds. And out your mouth for 6 seconds. Hopefully everybody's bodies are feeling relaxed and focused now before we begin. So we're going to start by thinking about what kindness means to all of us. So if you were leading this workshop, I would set a timer for maybe 3 or 4 minutes and give everyone in the workshop a chance to write down their answers to these questions or just think about them in their head. So we're going to think about, what does kindness mean to you and how does kindness make you feel? So if everyone just wants to think about that, and if you're with somebody, you can share your answers with each other or just think about them to yourself. And just for some examples, me and Annie will share what kindness means to us and how kindness makes us feel. So Annie, do you want to go ahead when you're ready?
Sure. And that breathing exercise was so relaxing. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. For me, kindness is when someone thinks about the broader picture, right? Thinks about someone else, not at the expense of themselves, but thinking of things from the perspective of the whole. And I think that makes us act and respond to the world in a different way than when we're more stuck on thinking on, what's going on with ourselves, which of course sometimes we need to do. But I think that's what it is. And when I experience it, it makes me feel so happy and it makes my heart feel warm. Like the other day I was in my office and it was such a busy day and it was like so many things happening. And someone came in and said, hey, do you want an espresso? We made one for you. And I was like, yes. And like my whole day brightened because it was just out of nowhere, just because. What about you?
I think mine's similar. I think when I think of kindness, I think of like acts or anything that just kind of is when somebody's going out of their way to bring greater good into one person's life or into their community or whatever that looks like. But I think just going out of your way to do something in a positive and happy, uplifting way is what I think of when I think of kindness. And then for how it makes me feel, I guess very similar, just happy and warm, and just like it just makes you remember in bad days and good days just that people care about you and are there for you, and it feels good. And I guess it also makes you feel like you want to do it to other people too when you receive kindness.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. I agree with that one.
Yeah. So people can take time to think about those answers on their own. And like I said, if this was a class with live participants, we would kind of give everyone a chance we could use this as like an icebreaker activity where everyone introduces themselves and then maybe shares whatever they're comfortable with about those two answers. So next we're going to talk about some norms and agreements that we have as a group together. So these are kind of just different ideas that you would maybe share with participants that just allow for a safe and positive experience for everybody in the workshop. So the first one I would think of is maybe for background noise purposes, if we can just try to mute our volume on Zoom when you're not speaking. Definitely feel free to unmute yourself if you have questions or things to add to the conversation, but to just try to stay muted when you're not speaking. And then for your video, we ask that you keep your video on as much as possible and as much as you're comfortable, but just to have everybody participating. But if you're not comfortable, you can of course have your video off as well. And then the next one is we call take space and make space, so that we're participating as much as we want to and as much as you'd like to, but also be mindful of giving other people in the class time to speak as well. And then we also want to make sure we're not shaming others' experiences or talking negatively about another participant in any way. We want to try and use I statements and speak from our own experiences rather than other people's experiences. And then lastly, we just try to avoid any unrelated topics that may trigger other participants, such as violence and self-harm, drugs, alcohol, things like that. We just try to stay away from in this workshop. So those are kind of the agreements that I can think of, but then I would give space for any participants to add norms or agreements that they think might be helpful for the group as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That is so helpful. And I think that in people watching this, you can join in on those, or if you're with other people, or if you're, like Siena said, taking this as an idea to bring to your community, then you can use those or add to them. So today we are going to create an origami butterfly that's based on this idea of kindness. And before we do that, I want to share a little bit of artwork also made out of origami to give you some examples. And this particular artist took part in some of our classes inside the prisons in Prison Arts Collective, and his name is Lyle, and he also plays ukulele, and he is just really creative and makes the most incredible origami works. So the ones I'm going to show you here are more advanced than we are going to make today, so don't feel pressure. It's more so just to be inspired and to share some work from our program. So the first piece is called Banshee, and as you can see, these are really intricate origami works that he makes, and I believe these are his own designs as opposed to following a pattern, which is what we're going to do today. And this one is called Dryad, and it is a human tree made out of some brown paper. One of the things I really like about Lyle's work is it feels like they tell a story. This is Royal Pastime. It's so intricate, as you can see, with like the folds to make pleats in the dress, and then the more open pattern and the hair. So they're really incredible designs that he's created. When Pigs Fly, it's a fun one. And this one is a little bit dimensional if you see it in person. And lastly is a wizard casting a spell. So those are some incredible works by Lyle to just inspire us. And again, that we don't have to make it exactly at that level, but maybe if you love this process, you can study up and learn more and create your own designs like that. So the artist that inspired the project that we're going to make today is Akira Yoshizawa, and he's often called the Grandmaster of Origami. He was born in Japan in 1911, and he learned origami as a child. And then in 1954, he published a book called New Origami Art. And this book established the basic forms and symbols that we use to make origami today. And one of the patterns that he made was a butterfly, and that is what we are going to learn. And Yoshizawa's work brought greater awareness of origami beyond Japan and into the world. And just a little background on this project. It's part of something called participatory art, which is a type of artwork where people are engaged in the process. So it's not just about the artist, but really everyone who takes part is an artist of the project. So it's very open-ended and collaborative. So a few, I can't remember when, I think it was around the same time Prison Arts Collective started, I started a project called Pollinating Kindness. And the idea was, can kindness be a medium for art? And can we all take part by creating butterflies to carry these acts of kindness? And by also creating acts of kindness and then carrying them out. Okay, so we're gonna all be part of this project today and learn about kindness and learn to make a butterfly.
So now I'm just going to kind of take some time to talk about what kindness really is. So the definition of kindness is the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. So with that, kindness definitely means something different for everybody, like kind of how we reflected on earlier of what kindness means to each of us. The true meaning in kindness is how you receive kindness and how you give kindness. Some kindness can look like anything from empathy to acceptance to kind gestures like Annie's espresso, the thoughtfulness, and just being a presence in somebody's life. Kindness makes us feel good and it inspires us to pay it forward to someone else. We like to say that kindness is contagious. So in this, if we had live participants, I would give space for everybody to kind of share some acts of kindness that you think would make you or someone in your life feel loved, or acts of kindness that you have felt recently or anything like that. So that's what I would give space for now, but maybe me and Annie can just both share an act of kindness, I guess.
Sure. So I can share some acts of kindness in case you want ideas. There's this website that shares about the project if you feel like looking at it, and it has a whole bunch of ideas. And the way that I gathered these was by asking people, just like we're doing today. So I asked people on social media, I asked people in person, what's an act of kindness that doesn't really cost any money and that isn't almost anyone could do? And these are some of the ones that people came up with. So if you want ideas, you can look at this, but also I think it's really great, like Siena's saying, to think of them yourself. So one of the ones I thought about this morning is write a thank you note just because. So just because you appreciate someone, not because they did anything special. So that would be one that I would share today. What about you?
It's funny because mine was kind of similar, but I was just thinking of just calling somebody on the phone that you haven't talked to in a while. Because I think we get so busy in our lives that it's sometimes hard to keep up with people in our lives. So just taking the time to call somebody can really make somebody's day and just check in on them.
I love that. That is so true. That is so true. And the little text too, which is also fun. The little text. When you text someone and remind them you're thinking of them. Okay, awesome. So are we ready to do the next step?
Yeah.
What do you think? Okay, so we're going to learn to make the butterfly designed by Yoshizawa. And we, if you want to take your act of kindness and write it on kind of like a little piece of paper like this, then you can fold it up and put it inside the butterfly like this. You can see the little paper there. And then you can either leave it out somewhere and somebody can just find it in the community and pull that out and be inspired to do that act of kindness. Or you can keep it for yourself to remind yourself to be kind to yourself or to be kind to others, or you can give it to a friend. So those are a few ideas. And now I'm going to change the screen here so that you can see how to make it. Okay. So here we have some origami paper and also some little strips of paper if you want to write your act of kindness. Sometimes I've seen people also put it on a sticky label, like an address label, and put it on that way, which I think is really cool. That's one thing about doing a project like this where so many people are involved, is that you learn from each other and it grows as people participate. So we have some different paper. So if we were in a class, we would just allow folks to choose whichever one inspired them. Which one would you choose, Siena, if you were going to make one today?
I like the purple blue flowers on the second.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's use that one.
Yeah.
So we can set these aside, and here's the one that we're gonna work on. So the first thing that you're gonna do is turn it over, and you're going to fold it corner to corner, whichever way. There's no wrong way, just go corner to corner diagonal. And you wanna kind of check and see that the corners meet as cleanly as possible. And then you're just gonna smooth that out with your finger. And now you have a triangle, and then you're going to open it back up and do the same thing the opposite way. So we're just going to go over, and the corners are going to meet, and then we're going to smooth it out. Okay, and then we're going to open it up, and now we're going to turn it and do the same thing along the horizontal lines. So we're going to fold it across and just let the two corners meet, and it makes a rectangle. And we'll smooth that corner out. And then we're going to open it back up again and do the same thing the other way. And that is going to be our, sometimes it's a little hard to line them up. So you just do the best you can to make a clean connection. And then you fold it. And you want to just crease those so the paper has memory, and then it kind of remembers where to fold. So you open it up, and then with that being said about the paper's memory, you want to pick one of these two horizontals, whichever one you want, and you're going to just fold it back, not all the way, because it's not going to stay there. You're just kind of teaching the paper, hey, you can go that way too. And then you open it back up, and you'll see how it is on the table like that. Just kind of pop it down in the middle. And then these two middle, this is the hardest step. So these two middle parts come together, and you're going to lift and squish them in. And as you see, it's going to fold down on itself. And now you have a triangle. And you're going to crease the sides. And you can always rewind the tape and watch again if you need to. Sometimes I do that when I watch how-tos. And now you have this little kind of popped up shape. And this is actually used in a lot of origami patterns. So it's a good one to learn. I don't know that many. I learned this for this project, but you saw from Lyle, you can take it really far if you like it. Okay, so now you're going to hold the middle and take the two corners and fold them in on themselves up to the top. And if for some reason you don't have this kind of colorful origami paper, you can also just use a square of paper. It just needs to be a square. So we're going to fold the other one down to the corner too. It just needs to be a square and not like too heavy and not too thin. So a nice sort of medium weight paper. And also if you do want to get it, it's very, it's not like really expensive. So it should be something that you can get in your school or community center. Okay, so now here it is. And these are folded back, right? And now we're going to turn it over and we're already at our last step. So you see some up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have it flat so that the folded parts are on the bottom, right? And the top part is just one smooth surface. And then we're going to take this one up and you see these two flaps, you leave them down and you're actually going to fold it past the horizontal. So not like right at the corner like we did before, but over by a little bit, just like that. So hopefully you can see how that looks. And then this part here, it's going to be a little rounded and that's okay. Just let that be. And now we're going to turn it over again and fold this little tip down and pinch it a little bit harder because that's now thick. So it's harder to hold and turn it over and fold the wings in on themselves. And we have our butterfly. So hopefully you were able to follow along, or you can watch it again if you need to. And there's also directions online and there's some on the website I showed you. So there's yours, Siena. So now since you picked the color, we'll put your act of kindness on this. So which was the one? Tell me. Oh, you said, say it in your words and I'll write yours here.
Let's say call a friend you haven't talked to in a while.
Call a friend. And you see, I'm just writing it. So you can be really like homemade about it, or you can type them up and put them on labels, like whatever inspires you. Call a friend you haven't talked to. Oh, it just fits. Perfect. I didn't space that out so well, but that's okay because it's all about like what it says and how we respond. It's not about some kind of visual perfection. So now we're going to fold that a couple of times and just tuck it in to the butterfly's wing. And then I think what I'll do is just put it out in the neighborhood when I go for a walk today and see if someone finds it and gets inspired to do this. And if you're watching, you can make several and do that if you want, or you can give them to folks in your family or in wherever you're doing the workshop, or you can make one for yourself if there's something that really helps you to remember to be kind to yourself. So I will move this back so that we can wrap up. Hello.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
So are we ready to close, or is there anything else we wanted to say?
I think we're ready to close. Were you able to understand how to do the butterfly? Was it easy?
Yeah, it was super easy to understand. I didn't have any paper in front of me, but I think I could do it.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's close out with you.
Okay. So to close, I'm going to read a poem that I found about kindness, and then we'll finish by doing one more breathing belly exercise. So let me just pull up the poem. So this poem is called Kindness by Naomi Shihab Nye. So it says, before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you, how he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you into the day to gaze at bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere like a shadow or a friend. So that's
I love that poem. It's so beautiful, and it really resonates too, that idea where you really understand it after you've gone through the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes we have to face not so kindness to actually see true kindness.
So wise.
Yeah, so I know that this kind of workshop and the idea of kindness can probably bring up a lot of emotions and feelings for everybody. So I think it'd be helpful to just finish with one more belly breathing exercise so that we can go back to our days feeling relaxed and focused. So again, whether you're sitting or standing, whatever feels most comfortable, just close your eyes, loosen your muscles, make sure you relax your shoulders, maybe have your feet placed against the floor, wiggle your toes and your fingers. And then once you feel relaxed, place one hand on your upper chest and the other on your belly. And we're going to do the same thing we did in the beginning, where you're going to breathe in slowly through your nose for 3 seconds, feeling your stomach expand and your chest remaining still. And then breathe out slowly through your mouth for 3 seconds, feeling your stomach move back. And then we'll just repeat that a couple times. So breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 seconds. And out through your mouth. And last time, breathe in slowly through your nose for 6 seconds. And out through your mouth. And now hopefully you feel back to being relaxed and ready to take on whatever you have today and bring some kindness into the world.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a beautiful day.